It's a Saturday, it's a double header. We've got Sri Lanka taking on India in the first game, South Africa versus Australia in the second. Two teams playing for a bit of pride and two teams playing for the top spot on the Cricket World Cup table. Now, India take on Sri Lanka. India have to get their team balance right before they go into the finals. Last game, they dropped Kuldeep Yadav and they went with three frontline quicks. They had Bhuvneshwar, Bumrah and Shami, also supported by Hardik Pandya, and they had Chahal, the leg spinner. So I think they need to find another bowling option, and where they can find that bowling option is get rid of the batsman out number 7. He's been redundant through this tournament. There's only once where he's had to face more than 13 balls, and that was against the West Indies, where it was Hardik Pandya who came in for a quick fire 40 odd off 38 deliveries. So for me, I think they can bring Ravindra Jadeja in. He's your best fielder, he can handle the bat, and he bowls some quality off spin. So he gives you depth in the bowling, depth in the batting, and a brilliant fieldsman. So bring him in. Now up against Sri Lanka, you've Sri Lankan batsman, there's only Matthews who's performed well against this Indian attack. He's the only one who's got 100. If you look on the Indian front, they've got Rohit Sharma, Kohli, Dhoni, who are all averaging over 80. So it doesn't look good for Sri Lanka in that department. And then you look at the bowling. There's no Sri Lankan bowlers that really trouble this Indian batting lineup. Whereas you look at the Indian bowlers, they've got Kuldeep Yadav, Chahal and Bumrah, who have all dominated against Sri Lanka over the last couple of years. And Kuldeep Yadav's not even going to play. But we're in English conditions as well. Shami and Bhuvneshwar Kumar are going to be too much for the Sri Lankan batsmen to handle, I think, in this contest. And you look at the last 2 years, India have won 7 out of 9 contests. So for me, I think India are going to win this game quite easily. Now we go to South Africa versus Australia. South Africa have really dominated Australia over the last couple of years, but Warner and Smith are back. It's a different lineup. South Africa haven't been playing well in this World Cup. They are short of confidence, and I think that's going to hamper them in this contest. But South Africa against Australia always lift, and they're going to give Australia a tough battle. But for Australia, they've got to make sure that they get a few things right in this final game before they go to the finals. They've got to make sure Khawaja gets some runs. He has got a couple of 50s this tournament, but he's had a lot of luck in those 2 50s. He should have been out early on in his both of those innings. But you've also got Maxwell and Stoinis in the middle order that haven't fired. They've got to get some runs on the board. And then we look at the bowling department. Through those middle periods of the opposition batting innings, they've got Nathan Lyon, the spin option there, who's extremely tight, very economical. They've dropped the wicket-taking option of Zampa, who's going at 7 and over, or over 7 and over. So I think that's a good move. But if they're going to continue going down that path, they've got to utilise Steve Smith more with the ball in that 20 to 30 over mark to try and get a couple of breakthroughs if need be. So for me, Australia have got to get more out of the ball with Steve Smith, more out of the bat with Stoinis and Maxwell before they go into the finals. Other than that, every other position is covered. Australia to beat South Africa, India to beat Sri Lanka, and that's the end of the regulation tournament. We get into the finals next week. Looking forward to it. If you like what I'm doing, subscribe downstairs, get on the bell, and that will give you a notification of when the next video is coming out. And I'll see you next on Hoggs Vlog.